Welcome to the Hidden Heroes Talk Show. My name is Ariel, and this is Erin. Today's guest speaker is Fay Hart, calling in from Mexico. Thank you for being with us today. It is a pleasure to have you. Before we get started, would you just introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, and a little bit of background about you?
Okay, sure. My name is Fay Hart, and I'm an old poet and old rock chick, and I've written a book called The Steps, A New Paradigm in Healing for Our Times, and it's actually a reinterpretation of traditional 12 steps. So it's sort of an updated version. I've changed the language out of a sort of patriarchal Christian language into a language that helps us really turn on our inner healers.
Nice. And when was it released?
At the end of the summer, 2014. Yeah, it's like brand new, hot off the press. And I teach online. I self-published it. I published it myself. So it's not only a new paradigm in healing, it's a new paradigm in publishing, because I used crowdfunding to raise the money to publish it. And you know what my real dream for it was? That it wouldn't have any sort of corporate energy on it. You know, that everything would be mom and pop, like I'd know every hand that went into making this book. And it was almost as if by magic a little team formed around me. This great young Ukrainian woman designed it. One of my favorite Mexican artists, I don't know if you can see that artwork, he did the decorations for it. So beautiful. And then it was published by a lovely man in Mexico City who has a small printing firm, family-run operation. So I did realize my dream, even though it seemed almost impossible. You know, it was a really long time coming. But here it is, the proof, you know, that you can actually do something without, and also I published it under a Creative Commons agreement. So every part of it is really like a new way of getting a book out into the world.
That is really cool. Congratulations to you. I actually published a book this summer, probably around the same time as you. I self-published, and I love what you did because I was huge on the energy that touched my book. I pre-screened any editor. I pre-screened the artist, the cover, everything. And anytime there was any sort of, there wasn't any animosity, but anytime anyone was felt overworked or kind of over, I was like, nope, stop, let's meditate, let's get back centered. If you need more time or more money, I only want good, positive energy touching this book. So that is really cool.
I think it's really important because I think we're really realizing now that, you know, everything is energy, and so it's into something. And even, I'll tell you, at one point I had an idea of when it needed to be done and everything, and I borrowed the money to create it. And then, and I know that you'll appreciate this because I know that you do, that one of your missions is helping people prevent suicide or talk about suicide. And after I borrowed the money and I was going full steam ahead, my brother took his life. So it changed the whole direction of my life in a sense, but also, and that money then helped me to be able to be with my family and do what I needed to do rather than make the book. But if I'd have made the book then, it would have been the wrong book. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really fully understand what I was doing. So all of it has, and I wouldn't have known the amazing thing we have in crowdsourcing, you know, crowdfunding. That all came about. And I'll tell you, the really interesting thing is when my brother took his life, I was preparing for because I teach the classes online, and I was preparing for step 6, which step 6 in my step says, I understand the nature of illusion and know that I do not nor have ever possessed any defects. And that was like, I thought, really? My brother's just taken his life? That this is an illusion? Show me that. So it really helped me understand my own program, you know?
I love it.
It's best when you can not just, you know, preach it, but actually practice it, and then people can learn from your practice actually how to use what you're what you were saying and trying to just convey to everyone else.
That's something we actually talked about in our support group. We host a support group for suicide, depression, self-injury, and we had it last night. We were talking about that very thing. Some of the hardships, the bad times that we go through are so that we can see and feel what it feels like to have witnessed that or been through that type of experience, so that we're more able to show compassion to others going through something
and relate
similar.
easily. Yeah, it just works really good. It's really good that it works like that. Where can we pick up your book?
Well, you can order it at my website, which is followfay.com, F-A-Y, followfay.com. And yeah, that's where I sell them. And also you can find out about the online classes. We're just starting we're on step 2 right now. Nice. And it's really great because also that technology, you know, it doesn't matter what time zone you're in, what your personal schedule is, because you can listen to the replay if you can't be on the live calls. Nice. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to lots of people getting this book. You know, it's just sort of building on its own merit. So it's an exciting journey, actually.
So let me ask you, how many steps in total are in this book?
It's 12 steps, and actually that rather annoyed me to begin with, because you see step 1 says, yeah, because I thought, why do we need that many steps? Step 1 is I admit to myself that I'm powerful beyond measure and have all I need to create the life I desire. Mm-hmm. So really, that's your program. If you get that and you really know that, then you don't need any other steps. But what I came to understand through teaching it, you know, and going through many cycles of it, is that 12 weeks, because we just do 1 step a week over 12 weeks. It's not the kind of program where you try to get step 3 right and hang around. You just keep going and moving through them. And that space of time, that like 12 weeks or 90 days, you feel the whole ebb and flow of your life, you know, and there's something magical about that. I don't really understand the science behind it, but like the seasons are 3 months, you know, there's some natural piece of time where something can develop. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the point of it too, is to keep moving. Like if you miss step 2, you just go to step 3, you just keep going, and the other steps seem to kind of come and find you, you know. It's not like you've got to really put a lot of effort into it. And in that time, what you really are doing is you're distinguishing the information coming from your mind than the information coming from your body. And it's like one of my teachers said, the mind is unreliable, but the body never lies. So it's really, once you get that distinction and you stop reacting to your life all the time, you just become more peaceful. I mean, even the great traumas and tragedies that happened to me through the making of the book and everything have all been illustrations of how you can just deal with everything when you stop whipping it up in the mind and really just process through your body all the grief and sadness or whatever it is, you know, the emotional drama, and let the mind have a rest.
Absolutely. So I can imagine that you've worked through these steps yourself, and that's how you're able to then put them on paper and self-publish the book. Do you think that's all the steps? Do you think there'll be another book, a continuation of the steps, maybe like 13 to 30?
Oh, God, I hope not. No, I don't think so. I think this is a really neat, concise program, you know, and it's actually, because it wasn't even something that I set out to make. I mean, like I said, I'm an old rock chick. My whole history was, you know, rock and roll and everything. And if anyone would have said to me, like when I was your guys' age, oh, don't worry, you know, you'll go down to Mexico and you'll rewrite the 12 steps, I would have like had such a laugh about that. But it actually is, so really the thing is that my life is in this book. You know, I have a particular Buddhist practice, and for a long time it didn't feel like it was really working for me. And one of the leaders of my Buddhist group said, you know, you have to put your life into it. And I thought, well, I don't know, I'm like kind of trying to chant with my life, but it doesn't seem to be working. But now I really understand it because I really put my life into this book, you know, and I can attest to the, it had to go exactly the way it all went so that I can teach it with confidence. And also because I've had to take a lot of criticism from people who are in the Alcoholics Anonymous program that really didn't like me changing the steps. They, as if, that somebody said, who does she think she is? And I thought, you know what? I know who I am, and I have the right to reinterpret something to make it make more sense, Mm-hmm. So in a way, I think what I did was I created a program for myself, and because I needed a program in my life that worked, and it just now, because I believe in it 100%, like you say, I really can offer it to other people and stand behind it.
I love it. I have a lot of respect for you having the courage to do that. We host a support group, and the whole reason why I started that was because of the frustration of the Depression Anonymous and the different depression groups out there. I didn't feel were helping. The structure was off, we're wrong, and it was very frustrating for us. We actually celebrated our 1-year anniversary last night as far as having the support group open. But that was one of the main causes why we started it, because I'm like, no, it needs to be changed. It needs to be structured differently so as to help people reset and reframe.
Good.
My question, though, is let's take a step back. And what was the motivating factor for you to actually start writing this book or to rewrite the 12 steps? Was there a specific time, experience, or was there a voice in your head? What was that moment where you knew you needed to rewrite them?
Well, actually, and the stories in the book, because the first half of the book is my story of how the steps came about, and then the second half is the workbook. And it's actually quite mystical in a sense, the way it came about, because like I said, I had this kind of history and everything. Then I lived in London for 30 years. And I decided to throw caution to the wind and completely change my life. I just packed up everything, and I ended up down here in Mexico, where I accidentally, if you can imagine it, bought a house at a yard sale. I bought this beautiful house. So the gods were saying, this is where you got to be. And anyway, through a long series of things, I walked on a 9-day pilgrimage across the desert. I did these insane kind of things that I never imagined myself doing. And then I found this connection with the rocks. It's this really rocky desert down here where I live. And I just started having a kind of dialogue, in a sense, with these rocks. In particular, this huge rock that I call Grandmother Rock, where I go every morning and meditate. And what happened is that I was walking to my rock one evening, and I met this woman that I always meet, and she's really vibrant. She's a yoga teacher. She's really on it, And this one time when I saw her, she looked really glum, really sad. And then she told me that she started going to AA, and I said, wow, are you an alcoholic? Because I wouldn't have put that together, And she said, oh, I don't know. I just know there's something wrong with me. And I said, no, there's not. Now just change that thought right now, And I could see that by what we're saying, we're creating our lives. We're creating this reality. And I continued on, then I left her, and I went and sat on my rock, and I flipped open my notebook, like I always do, and then it was as if this, what I always heard people saying, which annoyed me because I thought it was like this new agey, annoying way of saying you had an idea, but I think I did get a download, because I just flipped open my notebook and I wrote, step 1, I admit to myself that I'm powerful beyond measure. And then I just wrote them pretty much as they are, but then, and I didn't really know the 12 steps verbatim, though I had gone to 12-step meetings because I wanted to stop drinking, and it was helpful. I think as a program of abstinence, it depends what's going on for people. If you need to stop some kind of behavior, it's a good place to go. But I was shocked when I then compared my steps with the traditional steps, and they were just verbatim. But the difference in mine, it's the traditional steps say we, and it's in the past, we admitted, and my steps are I, and they're in the present tense. So, and I believe that any kind of spiritual or experience of enlightenment we have can only be an I unique experience. And then that brings you into the we, where the we actually kind of excludes you. It makes you a special little group, So that, I know, it's blame it on the rocks. That's where it all came from. So it's kind of funny because of the fact that rock and roll to rocks in the desert has all been a continuum in my life.
Well, I love it, and it definitely sounds like it formed the organic, beautiful way it was supposed to come along. And just like you said about your brother, like everything happens for a reason, and it comes together when it's supposed to come together. So I know when I read the book and when others will read the book, like you can feel your heart in this. So I can definitely appreciate that. I also wanted to ask you, was it on Kindle?
No, and because my thing too, because I'm a poet and I just really love beautiful books. So in this instance, I wanted it to be beautiful. You know, I wanted it to be really quality paper and everything. But now I have to overcome being an old Luddite and we're going to make an ebook. And also what we're going to do is have it available so you can just buy the PDF on the website and just print it out and bind it yourself.
Nice.
Because I realized that everybody doesn't have the same aesthetic, but it was important for me to make it this way.
Well, we truly love it. You are a hidden hero. Thank you for having the bravery and courage to write down, to share your visions and dreams with the world. And then before we wrap up here, do you have a quote, affirmation, saying that you live your life by that you're willing to share with us today?
Oh, you know what I do whenever I get down in the dumps or anything like that, I always ask this question. I always say, how does it get any better than this? And it always just like lifts me, and then I start getting evidence of things getting better. I used to say like, oh, why me, you know? And once I changed that to how does it get better than this? Yeah.
That's really cool. How does it get better than this? I actually have an alarm that goes off on my phone every single day at 3 p.m. with that statement. How does it get better than this?
You have that?
I do. That same statement.
Ah, good for you. Well, there you go. We're kindred spirits.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, Fay Hart, thank you for being with us today. Before we go, will you just state where our followers can connect with you once again?
Yeah, it's follow Fay, F-A-Y, followfay.com, and all my information is on there.
Nice.
I'm also very active on Facebook. Fay Hart on Facebook.
Connect with you. Thank you
All right.
for joining us, Fay Hart. Thank you for being a hidden hero, and thank you everybody else who is listening in today.
Thank you so much. I love what you guys are doing. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adios.